What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Reunion and FF7 Remake podcast. I'm your host, Kyrosis, and joining me today is my amazing co-host, once again, Viz. How are you, Viz?
Hello, everyone. I'm pretty good today. Well, I had some headaches earlier, but now it's everything is good again.
I'm so happy that you can join us on the podcast again today. And obviously, we've both been crazy busy with our crazy busy schedules. I know that you've been doing a lot of analysis videos, and also you've been live streaming and
Mhm.
doing premieres, sorry. And, on your Twitch channel, you're quite active there as well. So I know how much work and effort goes into, creating the content for your YouTube channel. And I really appreciate you being able to make time for the podcast today. And we did have to kind of postpone it because we've both been extremely busy, obviously around this time of the year as well, being December and the holiday
Mhm.
season's coming up. There's a lot going on, especially with me and work as well. So just wanted to say thanks so much for fitting us into your schedule today.
And no problem. I really love to be on this podcast. It's fun to talk about Final
hmm
Fantasy stuff all the time. Can't do it enough.
So I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to everybody that's listened to the podcast just up until now, and also the people who have went ahead and subscribed and left us reviews on all of the podcast apps and mediums that are out there. The feedback has been extremely positive, and we're both really appreciative for everybody taking the time to listen and spread the word about the podcast. It really encourages us to continue on going into the future, and really encourages us to continue to create the content for you guys and offer you it in a different way. So, if you guys want, you can go ahead and leave us a review. It's the best way to support the podcast on Apple Podcast app, and also on Spotify. You can rate us 5 stars on there if you would like to. That would be amazing. It's the best way to show your support, and it really helps us in the search index. When people search, they can find us faster because there's so many people that have been listening to it and who have left reviews. So, thank you so much, and so today for our first segment, we're talking about all the newly released screenshots that Square Enix has released recently from the game. So there were a few screenshots that were released from the in-game system, featuring a few of the different systems in the game, and also there were a few screenshots that were, I guess, they were where they reimagined or recreated the iconic screen renders from the original Final Fantasy VII, featuring Aerith and Barrett. So we're just going to touch on those. That's the first segment of the podcast, and then we're moving on to our second segment. We are talking about any news about the game that have come out, and when we might get some more information or maybe another trailer about the game that's coming up in the future. So also, there was a Famitsu article that was released as well, so we're going to touch about on that a little bit, and any about the new information that was released about that article, and also the developer interview that was released from Square Enix.
Quite a lot to go through.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we're just jumping in to the screenshots. So there were a bunch of screenshots that were posted to the Square Enix website that were featured. Um, Basically featuring the in-game, weapon upgrade system was the first, one that I wanted to touch on, and they featured some never before seen, in-game screens such as the weapon upgrade screen. So this I said screen, wow. The weapon upgrade screen. This confirms that obviously weapon upgrading will be in the game, which is amazing.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for this. I think that it'll add even more of an interesting aspect to the game. So yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on that about the weapon upgrade system.
All right. So first of all, I already made an analysis about those two
Mhm.
screenshots, which lasts around 30 minutes almost. And it's called Game Analysis Episode 17. So you can go check
Mhm.
this out on my channel if you want. So I won't go into too much detail, but give you a kind of a short
Mhm.
overview over those. So also the first time I've seen those, I was delighted, literally, and it was so great to actually see those, see
Mhm. Same here.
more new elements in the menus. And it's also something I kind of predicted in an earlier analysis video when looking at the equipment and materia upgrade screen
Right.
because the Buster Sword was kind of blue there
Mhm.
contrast to the other two equipment items. So I thought, well, maybe this is because of an upgrade. And lo and behold, the upgrade screen is here. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, same here, like, when they released them, and then I was just basically, I couldn't check it until I got home from work, so people were freaking out online, and I was just like, "What's happening? What's happening? Oh my gosh." So then finally I got home and I logged in and I looked at them and everything, and I was super, excited as well just to see that they've included this, aspect into the game as well,
mm,
and, I think it's gonna add, like I said, a fresh element to the game as well.
definitely.
So that kinda made me think about, you know, the thought about if all of the weapons, sorry, are gonna be in the game for this part. I know it's part 1, and I know that there's other weapons that you don't get until the later parts of the game when you're playing the original one. So then that kinda made me that kinda made me think that, uh, probably there's gonna be less weapons, but we're going to be able to use a less amount of weapons, but they're gonna prove to be more useful as the game goes on because the fact that we're gonna be able to upgrade them and each one has specific abilities, and then you're gonna be able to use those abilities, later with any it doesn't matter what weapon, and that goes on kinda to the next thing that we're talking about, which is the weapon proficiency,
Exactly. Yeah.
where there was a screenshot that's showing the proficiency about the weapon, which is each weapon has its own ability that increases in proficiency over time the more you use them. And then if an ability's proficiency level maxes out for that weapon, the character can use that ability with any other weapon. So it's not just limited to that weapon. Obviously, that's going to take a while for you to upgrade the weapons, I think. I'm not sure, obviously, but I'm thinking here, like, as I'm seeing it kind of happen inside of my mind, just, you're using the Buster Sword over and over again, and then it's unlocking ability, and then you can use it. It doesn't matter what weapon you use, but it's probably going to take you a little bit more time to upgrade it to that point. So then you're kind of forced at the beginning to use different weapons depending on different situations that will require certain abilities
Mhm.
until the point where you can upgrade them fully, where you can use the abilities with any weapon. It doesn't matter. And that also goes along with, I'm sure, using the skill points to upgrade the weapons, and unlocking more materia slots for the weapons.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really great choice that they included that because as it stands, we can upgrade weapons and they have their own uses, their own strengths and weaknesses probably. Also,
Mhm.
difference between base stats and amount of material slots. Like the nail bat,
Mhm.
for example, is probably double the strength of the Buster Sword, but has no material slots, so it balances out.
Right.
Um, but keeping the Buster Sword at 2 material slots all the way to the end is probably
Mhm.
going to lessen its impact, so upgrading
Right.
it with, 1 or even 2 additional slots is quite a great choice, so it has more value later on in the game.
Yes.
And also, uh, what you were touching on, if all the weapons would be in part 1 or
Mhm.
not, I think the most iconic ones and some, in the first third would probably be there, but also new ones. Especially here, we see the Iron Blade, made
Right.
it in here, which wasn't in the original. This is completely
Okay.
one. So it's probably a mixture between a few new weapons and a few old ones, like the Hard Edge, the Buster Sword, and Nail Bat. Those two are the most beloved ones,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Next to the ultimate weapon, of course. But I don't think it will be in here. It,
Yeah, I saw somewhere online, I think it was on the subreddit, somebody was talking about that the Buster Sword is basically going to be the ultimate weapon,
I've
like the
seen that too.
ultimate
Yeah,
weapon
yeah.
by the end, maybe when it's fully upgraded and you get like ultimate abilities unlocked. Like, I have no idea.
I'm not so
Obviously,
sure
that
about
wasn't the way
that.
that it was in the beginning. Yeah. And also, just like you said, I liked what you said that it's probably going to be that they're going to be the most iconic weapons that were in the game that
Mm,
and also added with new ones as well. The just to kind of keep it fresh because
of
obviously if
course.
everything was the exact same that, as it always was, people would probably just get a little bored with
Mm,
that because we've already played the original. Obviously, new people coming to the game that haven't played the original one. Obviously, this is all new for them. So, how exciting would that be? You know, it's your first time that you've ever seen any of this. So, it's going to be exciting for those people anyway. But I think it's Square's way of kind of keeping the original audience that have played the original more interested in the game, just to kind of see, the different abilities that you can unlock with the new weapons as well. So I'm thinking as well that we're probably going to get some pretty awesome abilities that we've never seen. And that just makes me super excited and just more just excited to play the game, and I'm looking forward to it a little bit more, I think, now that
Definitely,
I've
me
kind of
too.
seen, the screenshot.
Mhm.
um yeah. And yeah, so we're moving on. So we did talk about the weapon proficiency and how, each weapon has a specific ability. So has it been determined that you're not going to be using like SR or like skill points, SP, sorry, to level up your proficiency, right? It's just that when you're using it, it's just automatically gaining
Yes,
proficiency level.
that's my
Okay.
understanding, yeah.
Okay.
SP is only used
That's
for upgrading the weapon itself, like unlocking skills.
right.
Well, skills
Okay.
is a little bit of a misleading term because most of the skills are just stat upgrades, like
Right.
strength plus or attack plus, attack magic attack plus, HP plus, and the like, and also damage plus for Punisher mode. We've seen
Okay.
here in the other one, and also the additional material slot, and maybe some
Mhm.
few things more. That's what we can unlock with SP, and all SP also double as experience points for the weapon level. It seems.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we have amassed 55 SP. We're still on weapon level 3, almost 4. We need 5 more to level 4.
Okay.
But the unupgraded weapons, Iron Blade, Harlech, and Nailbat, all have 55 SP. So they have exactly the same amount of SP we've already gathered so far, but none spent. The Buster Sword has spent 50, or the Cloud has spent, 40 SP on the Buster Sword, which is why there's only 15 left here. And
Okay.
if we calculate everything together with the SP cost and the other screenshot and stuff, it all adds up. So I've done all the math and all the calculations and the comparisons in my video. So if you want to get more
Mhm.
information and more input and more details on that, just check it out.
That's
And
awesome.
I think that's it. Or is there something else I wanted to talk about?
Well, I'm just basically the explanation that Square Enix gave, like, because people were thinking like, "Oh, well, this wasn't in the original game, so, what's their explanation?" Well, it's just that their explanation said that each weapon has its own core materia that's
Hmm.
actually built into the weapon,
Hmm.
and that's what's allowing it to be upgraded. So
Yes.
you're spending SP points to level up the weapons,
Mm.
and its different abilities are unlocked through proficiency.
Yeah. I think there's only one ability per weapon. Firstly, because
Right.
of the how the UI is set up, and there's probably
Okay.
no more room for.
Okay.
And also, there's a little gray empty bar underneath the weapon icons on the unupgraded ones,
Okay.
and proficiency is fully upgraded for the Buster Sword. That's why the bar is not there underneath
Oh,
the
okay.
icon, and that's probably why there's only one ability per weapon. And this is also there's also an interesting thought. I listened to the Phoenix Edge podcast today. They also talked
Right.
almost 2 hours about Final Fantasy and the new screenshots and stuff. And one mentioned that this also gets you or incentivizes you to find all the weapons because each weapon has a unique ability you would like to learn. So if you want to max out your ability
Right.
arsenal, you have to find every weapon and use use the ability until you have proficiency 100% and learn it completely. So this is pretty
Okay.
cool. The weapons are not just throwaway items anymore. They are just
Right.
a fixed part of the whole system here. Seems.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm super excited now. I mean, I was excited before, but then just having it confirmed that there
Mm,
is weapon upgrading, especially now. In 2019, we're thinking about all the other video games that are out there that they have these systems in place. So I'm
mhm.
thinking, I think that it's a natural kind of progression for this series to kind
I
of
think so
include
too.
this in it, you know? And I really liked what you said about, wanting to collect all the weapons because each weapon has a specific ability that you can upgrade to the max version. And then, you could use it with any weapon. It doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing that if you care about getting all of those abilities, it kind of, motivates you to find all of the weapons.
It was also a great system in Final Fantasy IX where all the abilities you wanted to learn were on the weapons and the equipment. So we had equipment in there. Each equipment had one, two, or
Yes.
three abilities, and you
Hmm.
collect AP to level them up. And when they leveled
Okay.
up completely, you had them learned for the character and didn't need the equipment anymore. It's practically the same here, just with one ability per weapon. And I'm also kind of curious: are the bangles and the accessories also upgradable? That's something I forgot to touch on in my
Hmm.
video because this is also quite interesting because if we could upgrade the bangles as well, the armor, then this gives another level of depth.
That's true.
uh, we'll see, I guess.
Can you equip materia in the equipment?
Uh,
Like, in the bangles and stuff?
yes, because there was
Okay.
a equipment and materia screenshot where there was materia equipped in this Buster Sword and the which one was it again? I forget
Yeah.
the.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was an iron bangle or something.
I think was it Iron Bangle? Could be, yeah. And the protect vest for the accessory protection vest.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Iron Bangle it was. I think yes. One slot.
That would be amazing
Mm,
if they could do that. Maybe it's just the weapons that are upgradable, and
maybe.
then you unlock materia, and then for the equipment, you don't, because then as you move on, it's maybe there's more they've added so many different equipments
Mm,
that where you don't need to because you're kind of forced to change your equipment up instead of just
maybe.
using, like, the same equipment.
It could work though. To
Oh,
have
yeah. Oh,
equipment
no, definitely.
or just
Definitely.
the armor though, because the accessories they have their own
Yes.
use. They don't really need to be upgradable
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do like this a lot because in the original, I found that I was using the same weapons, and
Yes.
then I got to a certain point of the game when you get another weapon, and then you're like, well, this one has 5 materia slots.
Mm,
So I'm going to use this one
exactly. Yeah.
because I want to have more abilities equipped, like materia spells,
Mm,
and it kind of, because I really wanted to play with the Buster Sword for as long as possible in the
mhm.
original, but then eventually it's just that you get
Too
to a point
inconvenient.
where yeah, it's just like you can't use it anymore, even though that was like his iconic,
Mm.
weapon. I do like that.
It's
I think
probably
that
one
this.
it's probably one thought they had, by doing this. So with
Mhm,
this system, you can just do a Buster Sword only run, and it wouldn't matter that much, I guess, because Buster Sword will still get stronger and get more
right.
material slots, and it's still relevant till the end. So
Yeah.
mm,
I'm sure that the strength, like, it's giving you stats as well, right? So your
yes,
base, like, strength stats and stuff like that. So each weapon is going to give you different stats. So it depends on, I guess, your specific play style. Where if you want one that has more magic damage, then
mm,
you're going to upgrade that one to the fullest, and then you're going to get the most magic damage, like even more than the Buster Sword that's fully upgraded. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
if you're more of like, I want to use more magic, then you're going to switch to that weapon because it gives you the highest
exactly. Yeah.
magic stat. So you have the highest magic damage, depending on obviously who you're fighting against too.
Mm,
Like because this kind of moves on to the next thing that we're talking about, which is they unveiled, I guess, the assess materia.
yes.
So their explanation was, everything is not just all about offense. The assess materia shows enemies' specific strengths and weaknesses, helping you to refine your strategy. So I really love this. That you can see what they're weak against, the enemies, and then you can choose, I guess, depending on what they're weak against, what weapon to use and what materia to equip and
Exactly.
what
Yes.
equipment to use.
Mm.
um there was a lot of this in the original as well, but I'm
Mhm.
just thinking about when you're upgrading your weapons, and if you can upgrade your equipment, that's gonna be crazy. There's gonna be so many more customization, options. So what do you think about the assess materia specifically? I mean, do you think it's like, a materia that you equip or
Definitely, yeah. It's said as much in the description, and I think somewhere else I've read about it. I think it was a translation from the Famitsu article, actually. But there's an assess materia which gives you the ability called assess, which you
Mhm.
then use to um, do this, the get all the information from the enemies, which are probably also accessible in the main menu because we saw in the TGS 2019 gameplay presentation that there's
Okay.
an enemy report menu item in the main menu, so we can always go there and see which enemies we have fought, defeated, assessed, and everything like that. And it's also very nice for farming items you need for whatever reason, because now you know which enemies drop which items and where you can steal what. Like for example, the special weapons or accessories or what have you, or maybe even materia. I don't know. I don't think we could steal or uh, obtain materia from enemies. Um, yeah, I think that's also a really nice addition. And but what I'm missing is the level. There's no level here depicted,
Right.
just the HP and also no MP. Maybe there's only MP on those enemies that actually have MP, because in the original, some enemies also had 0 MP, I think, or had MP but didn't use any magic. Was pretty
Okay.
whack. So yeah, maybe it's also not 100% finished yet. I don't know. There's also the R1 button, which is used to toggle data. So maybe we can toggle data to even more granular data, like level, stats, abilities they can use, and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah,
So you think that we're gonna have to equip this one
yes,
to be able to use it?
just like in
Okay.
the original game. Yes.
Okay. Because I know, like, thinking back towards, 13, and there's some other games in the series as well that had there was an ability called Libra
Hmm.
that you would cast,
Hmm.
and it cost MP, I think, to use it. I'm not sure if it did. I
I don't
can't remember,
remember.
but
I don't think it did actually.
I don't think so either.
Just
It
used
just kind of
ATB. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking that it might be like this
Hmm.
because you just have to own the material and the materia, sorry,
Hmm.
and it's in your inventory, and then you can choose it from maybe the command menu, and it uses an ATB bar and a slot instead of
I
like an
think
ATB charge instead of
yes.
having to equip it, you know?
Well, I do
Um,
think you have to equip everything you need you use in battle. So you have to equip the SS materia because you need to equip material to be able to use it. Just having it in your
right.
inventory doesn't really do much. We
I
have
was just thinking that they might have redone it just so that
ah mm,
the yellow command materias, because in the original there were yellow ones, right?
yes, command
That were
materials.
command
Mhm.
materias.
Materia.
Um, yeah, that were you still had to equip them, you're
Yes.
right, to be able to
Yeah.
use them. But, I was thinking, maybe they had redone it, so it was just a little bit different maybe, but,
I don't
because
see
then
it
it's
personally.
yeah, exactly, and you have to equip it to be able to use it.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
understand, them wanting to do it that
Mhm.
way. I was just kind of, like, just brainstorming inside of my mind here.
Of course, yeah.
Um, so going on, so they did show a screenshot of Chocobo and Moogle summon.
Mhm.
So they basically just described it as the caption that, Moogle can blast foes. Um, it says Mog Bomb is what the Famitsu article calls its ability. They can also use Stampede to trample an enemy with a herd of chocobos
Mhm.
at the end, which I'm assuming is their ultimate ability.
Probably
At
yes.
the
Yeah.
end, when they're done, because there's kind of a cutscene with a
Mhm.
huge damage ability at the end before the summon goes away. At the end of when the summon bar
Yes.
is gone. So I love this. I think this
Me
is
too.
amazing.
That
I'm
they
just
included
so
Chocobo mock summon is great because I thought, maybe
mhm,
they wait until the Chocobo farm in part 2, but oh
mhm.
no, they put it in here. Quite
They
cute.
did
Good, good.
remodel, the Moogle a
Oh,
bit,
yes,
so people were kind
unfortunately.
of upset about that because they rounded the ears a little
Mhm.
bit, so he looked kind of like a teddy bear, I guess,
Or
but
koala with the nose.
koala, yeah,
Koala bear.
exactly. I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm just so happy that they're, both in the game. Um, so I just can't wait to be able to use it
Mm.
in battle.
When you look at the second screenshot where they use the Stampede ultimate attack,
Mhm.
the Chocobo in the front where Moogle is sitting on, it looks just so cute and cuddly. I can't help it. It's just so
Right?
oh, it's
I
great.
love it so
Great.
much.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna go so fast too, like, you're not even gonna really I mean, you're gonna see it because it's
Mhm.
gonna be crazy, like, effects and stuff,
Mm.
you know what I mean? But, I don't know, I just can't wait. I think it sounds so cool.
Definitely, yes. And I also think it's the first summon we get. At first, I thought maybe it's Ifrit because we've also seen Ifrit here in the
Yes.
exact same area fighting the exact same sweeper. And now I'm not so sure anymore. Maybe Chocobo Mogul is the first as well, like paying homage to the original game where this was also the first summon we could obtain.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I think so too. Obviously, people who pre-order the game are getting summons as DLC.
Yes, of course.
So those it'll be interesting to see if, you get the code, if you can use them right away at the beginning
Mm,
or not.
interesting thought. Yeah, maybe after the the first tutorial of materia, how to use
Mhm.
materia, and when you can actually access the materia menu. I think there'll
Yeah.
probably be there if you have redeemed the codes, and I'm pretty sure it's going this way. Unless they have a specific point in time, here's here's where I can use the summon materia going forward.
Yeah, I was thinking that it might be like that. Like
Probably,
it might be a certain time in the game when you can unlock the summons
mm,
and then you can use them from that point on in the game and then they just appear, I guess, in your inventory.
probably yes.
Or maybe you pick them up from the store, from the shop. I'm not sure. I think that's how they did it in 15, right?
Uh,
You had DLC and then you could if you downloaded a weapon, I'm not sure if it was in your
uh,
inventory right away or
I
you had to go to
think
the shop first.
no, I think it was in the inventory because I remember the Ragnarok as DLC from wherever I don't remember, but
Okay.
I had it. I think I had it in the inventory right away because I don't remember buying it. Yeah.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure they're just there, but not accessible until we actually get the first summon tutorial and probably also the summon slot. I don't think the summon material slot is there from the beginning, most likely.
Mhm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they showed side activities and mini games. Well, they did show that it looks like the dart mini game will be in the game.
Yes, definitely.
They said that you will be able to play it at Seventh Heaven.
Hmm.
They also went on to show a picture of the bike battles. They said that you'll be able to enjoy fast-paced bike battles.
Mm,
And in the shot, it says Cloud and Jesse are in a thrilling chase with Shinra operatives.
yes.
So this is super interesting for me that it's kind of we kind of touched on this before we even knew this. I remember that we both talked about it.
Hmm.
I think it was the first episode that we talked
Could be,
about
yes. Yeah.
how Seventh Heaven is more than likely going to be your hub,
Hmm.
like your home base. And then when you go back, you can participate in mini games like the dark game, or like you said before, when there's going to be side quests available, like side activities where you can accept the side quest of, you have to go and do a bike battle, or you have to go and do a bike race,
Hmm.
or you have to go see this person and bring them this item or buy them something, or for side quests, I mean, and
Yes.
side activities that are available. So
Or kill some pests somewhere. I don't know.
yes, exactly. Like, oh, there's, an infestation of whatever somewhere,
Mhm.
and you have to go and do some crowd control, and then you get some experience from that, but also maybe some materia or some kind of an item, maybe a weapon.
Most
Um,
importantly of all, lore and stories. I don't want just mindless side quests where someone says, "Hey, mind to get me some potions?" and you get the potions as, "Oh, thank you. Here's some EXP," and then it's over. This is not really
yeah, like
enriching
fetch
anything.
quests.
Yeah, fetch quests are okay if there's lore behind them. Like you get
Yes.
to know a bit more about the person that gives you the contract,
Yeah, I
the
hope so
mission,
too.
and then during the mission you learn new things about the world, about some people. Maybe you even get access to a
Exactly.
new area, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an area where Final Fantasy 15 dropped the ball, to be honest, with all those
Oh yeah, for sure.
farmer quests. We had to go to the farm to get some onions and kill some dogs.
Mhm.
Everything you got out of this is maybe a discount in the shop in the Stalem, and yeah, it's pretty lame actually. At first, it was kind of cool, but then it's just repeated and repeated and repeated, and it was bland and no additional story and lore, and it was kind of disappointing. I really hope they don't do this here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Have you played The Witcher 3?
Just the first few hours, and then I don't know. I kept
Okay.
meandering all around and kept um, picking up all the herbs that were lying around, and it was just too distracting. I had to turn it off.
Okay.
I'm such an extreme
Um,
completionist. This is no game for me.
it's really good. I enjoyed it. I just was thinking more comparable to their side quests
Right,
because if you ended up
right.
trying this, like doing the side quests there's so much lore in the side quests. Some of the cutscenes for the side quests were really long.
Mhm.
And you're getting a lot of information, but I think there's a happy medium between, having a 30-minute cutscene from doing a side quest
Mhm,
and then also, including the lore and having you participate in the world and then finding out something new about the world, but then just also just there's a perfect amount of time, you know what I mean, to
mhm.
be able to do that because I think
Exactly.
that they did it really well in some aspects, but then other aspects it was just kind of like way too
Too
long.
long, yeah. I think Horizon
Um,
Zero Dawn did a pretty good job at the side quests because you learned new things about certain people, about the
yes,
world, how
exactly.
they deal with the world, deal with the situation. You had pretty
Mhm.
cool cutscenes, even if they were kind of static sometimes, like they were also in the same position and kept talking, but it was pretty cool, I think, especially in the DLC, the Frozen Wilds. The
Yes.
side quests there were really well made and more choreography in the cutscenes. When they were talking to each other and
Yeah.
when you got the mission was really nice. I loved it.
Yeah, hopefully, like you said, they included that in the game where
Mm.
it's not just fetch quests. I'm okay with doing some fetch quests. Like I don't mind it that
I'm
much.
also cool, yeah.
Yeah, like depending on what it is. It's just that when that's all there
Mm.
is, and it's just the
That's true.
focus is based on that, and then after you've played a bunch and then the world opens up, you know what I mean? And then that's all you have are just, additional side quests that are just fetch quests. It kind of is demotivating, and
Mm.
like
Definitely.
you said, like, it was really for me, like, I finished The Witcher 3 100%, and by the end, it was there was a mixture of, like, a lot of the things were at the end were fetch quests,
All right.
and the world is so big, and you have to backtrack, and, like, it's a lot, so
All right.
all right, so moving on. So we got some newly updated screens from the original Final Fantasy VII. They're the game renders that were released back in 1997, and the original version, the first one, had Aerith, and she's standing outside, and the High Wind, the airship, is there, and she's kind of looking at it,
Mhm.
and you know, people really liked this one because of the fact that, her history, her story,
Mhm.
we know playing through the game that she's always dreamed about flying in an airship,
Mhm. But she was never
right? So
able to.
she was never able to.
That's the
Exactly. So
tragic
it was
part
very
about it.
touching,
Uh,
very but tragic, exactly, for her character. Just another tragedy in her character because, as if there wasn't, there's a bunch of tragedy in
Mm.
her character and in her life, and then so what they did was they remade that one, but obviously they didn't put the high wind in the image. They had changed it so it looks like she's standing outside and there's kind of like the fields and the plains and she's looking and it's like a gorgeous blue sky.
The
The
image is
high wind
superb, yeah.
isn't there, and a lot of people were upset about this because there's so many other ones that they could have chose. So people were upset because they're like, well, this one's so iconic. Why would you choose to do this one
Mm.
without putting the high wind in there? Obviously, they're not going to put the high wind in there because they're not going to spoil
Of
it.
course, yeah.
And I am okay with them not putting it in there because it might not even be until like the third game before
Mhm.
we see this. And they probably don't have the artwork, like the concept art even finished or the design,
Mm. And if the
but it
design is
looks
different, then there's more uproar. I don't know.
exactly. So people will be more upset, like, hey, you changed it. Like,
Mm.
I I mean, like, I'm okay with this one. I really do think it's gorgeous. I think it's beautiful,
It is, yeah.
and I think it does bring us back to it still channels that feeling that you get when you look at the original one
Mhm.
for me. But the
Definitely.
thing is that if you look, you can see that she's standing on cement,
On an
and it
airstrip.
looks like
Mhm.
exactly, it looks like it's an airstrip. Like, it looks like she's standing on an airstrip,
Mm.
or like you said, like and that should be your clue. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of like look at the extra details in the picture. I just think this is their way of saying, you know, it's coming, but not yet.
Mm. Yeah, that's my theory is they first of all, they didn't include the Heimat because we don't see the Heimat in the first game, and then,
Yes.
well, why do you put the Heimat there if you don't get to experience it?
Hmm.
And also, I think kind of Aerith is not theme, but part of her character arc probably is because she was always inside of well, most of her life inside of Midgar, underneath plates, in captivity
Right.
sometimes. And this is like her goal: be free, see the sky, go outside. This is what she wants. And this is what she gets at the end of the first game. And this is kind of what this encapsulates. And I also think that maybe when part 3 or 4 rolls around, where the Highwind is in there, we get an updated version of this picture, kind of commemorate her
Exactly.
passing and what could have been. That
Exactly.
they can just use the exact same thing, put the Highwind in there, done. They probably
Yeah,
update it anyway, but
I totally agree with you. And
that's it.
then they remade another one where it was Barrett in the old church
Hmm.
and Marlene is on his shoulder.
Yes.
And I really thought this was beautiful, just the detail and the like the focal point of the image are the flowers,
Hmm.
because they put the flowers are in the center. So for me, it's just kind of showing that, and it's a reunion once
Hmm.
again because we're talking about the color of the flower, and the
Hmm.
flower in general represents reunion. So he's standing in the church, but people were upset because he never ends up standing in the church
Hmm.
in the
That's true.
game
Yeah.
in the original. So they were kind of like, why would they do that?
I think those images weren't meant to accurately represent scenes from the game, but actually represent meaning or maybe
Yes.
wishes or dreams of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So this here is Marlene has even if they only meet once when Aerith gets Marlene out of Sector 7, I think
Yes.
they make a quick and tight bond, those two. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember when the game ends, Marlene notices that when the live stream comes, that it's because of the flower girl, and
Right.
such a short time with the person, and this person leaves a lasting impression on you. That's quite how I should put this, quite the emotional moment, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of, uh, I think this should represent a point in time after the original game ends, when Barrett gets home to Marlene and brings her here to show her, hey, this is where Aerith was tending to the flowers.
Right.
Like bring her back to pay respect or something like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
It says the caption says it's one of the only places in the slums where flowers can grow, making it a very special place for Aerith. So
Mm, exactly. One of the two. The other one is of course her garden.
yes, I thought this was beautiful. I
Mm,
really enjoyed that one.
definitely. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Also, they did show a screenshot of Aerith's home.
Yes, they did. Aerith's home,
It
church, and
was
house.
yes, and it was just so beautiful. I really loved this one.
I love all
You
three.
know, yeah, same.
So
And
beautiful.
people spotted a Cloud doing like a T pose
Yes,
in
that was
the
so funny.
doorway. He's just, I think what he's just gripping the. It looks like he's gripping the door frame. Like he's kind of got his arms spread apart on the door frame, kind of
Kind
when he's
of.
walking in. But you can't really see because it's so far away that you just don't
Yeah.
know what's happening. So,
But it really looks like
but
a standard T pose, like that. It's rigged, but there's no animation or no pose applied to it.
right,
I don't know why. Maybe an Easter egg or something like that, but it's pretty funny.
could be. Do you
Yeah,
think that this is an in-game render? It
definitely.
looks
Yeah,
like it.
it looks like it because if you zoom closer, you do see some the mesh or
Oh, right.
the
Yeah, I
borders
can see the
of
mesh
the
right now. Yeah.
yeah, especially on the
Just
pipe and in before in the front. And
yeah,
the
on
quality
the
of some flowers are also not exactly up to par if it was a CG
right.
render.
Yeah.
And
I
in
can
the
see it
back.
on the there's like these little pieces of hay. It's not hay, but it's like dead
Oh, right. Yes,
vegetation
it's
kind
true.
of in the
Mhm.
bottom left corner, sorry, by the pipe. You can see that it's
Yes.
kind of the mesh is there. Yeah.
There's also quite a noise in the alpha channel and the shadows at
Right.
times. Yeah. And when you look in the back, the stones and the rocks are have a lower resolution texture on
Mhm.
them. It is definitely in game, but it looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful.
Mhm.
It's probably the highlight of the slums, I assume.
Right. The inside of the house as well.
Yes.
It's
So
just
cozy.
right. I love it so
Yeah.
much. And just the TV,
Mhm. The
the
old
old
TV, yeah.
tube TV in the corner. But it's crazy because in the game it was so big,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
original
Yes.
TV, but it's just when you look at like how, if you think about it in real life, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the size of everything,
Mhm.
it's just so much smaller, but it's so cool. And I love the lighting in this picture
Yes, it's
with the
beautiful.
incandescent bulbs and it's like the orange kind of hue to
Mhm.
everything. Like you said, it's really, really cozy.
Yes, definitely. And you can see the kitchen on the right in the shadows.
Yeah.
The kitchen was also there in the concept art, and I think there was also a door to a pantry, but it was situated right underneath the stairs or beside the stairs, not beside
The
the
kitchen.
kitchen. Yeah, it was
Oh,
lifted
okay.
around a little. It's there.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that I guess they kind of looked at it and they were just like, well, if a kitchen's like,
Mhm.
how would a kitchen be laid out if it's, you know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean? Like
course. Yeah,
the pantry
needs to
usually
be
should be
closed.
right next to your
Yeah,
kitchen, right?
of course. Yeah.
So, but I'm sure that's probably when they redesigned it. They were like, ooh, we should probably
Mhm.
move this here.
Probably. Yeah. Also, the stairs are actually climbable this time around. In the original render, it
Yeah,
was extremely steep angle and just straight up. It was must have been
it's like
uncomfortable.
nobody's gonna walk up those
Yeah.
stairs. Oh my gosh, I love this. And the detail, look at the rug.
Yeah, the rug.
The
It's
detail on the rug, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I want that for my own living room.
yeah, true, true. And also the images, you can see a woman doing a dance on the picture on the to the
Yes.
right. Some
Yeah.
smaller pictures I can't quite make out. underneath,
Yeah.
which probably are Easter eggs, maybe. Many flowers all over the place, and it's
Yeah, I was
very
just gonna
beautiful.
mention the flowers
Yeah.
and yeah. I love this one. I can't wait to visit. Like, I just can't wait to get there,
Mm,
in the game.
me neither.
It's just so it's amazing. But it's for me, it's exactly how I pictured it in my mind when I played through the original.
Mm,
I just even though it didn't look anything like
of course,
that.
no, you also always imagine it a little bit better, especially in hindsight.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there was also a nice render, not really a render, but an in-game screenshot of the church from a different angle.
right.
And it's so big and
Yeah.
messy.
Mhm.
It's nice. But I think when if I remember correctly, during the battle against Reno in this church, there are way less. What are they called? The benches. They have a specific name.
Yeah,
The
pews.
pews. Yeah, exactly. The pews. I think they're all non-existent there. Maybe they break while we're
Oh,
battling.
yeah, it
Maybe,
could be.
I don't know. Interesting. Also, there are not all lilies here are white or yellows. Most of them appear
Yes.
white. Are they
Yeah.
white and yellow, or is it just the lighting? Maybe there are two types of lilies here. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like white and yellow.
Because the white lily has another symbolic meaning, but I can't quite
Yes.
remember.
At the beginning of the game in the cutscene that was released, I mean, the trailer that was
Mhm.
released, in her bouquet of flowers, she had white ones mixed in, didn't she? When they
Yes, but
fell on the
there were
ground?
no, but either primroses or what are the others called? Also something with
Oh,
E.
okay.
Probably primroses.
Oh, I see. So they're not the same type of
No,
flower.
primrose
Hmm.
and tulips. She also had tulips in there.
That's interesting. Maybe it's the light.
Maybe, yeah.
They do look white
Mm.
and yellow as well.
I
Yeah, the
think
lighting in
those
this.
no, there are some with the same orientation and some are yellow, some are white. There's definitely 2 different kinds of lilies. And some other weed that's growing
Yeah,
growing from underneath. Yeah.
and the light shining down,
Yes.
it's so
Through the
beautiful.
stained glass, it's beautiful. I wonder if we
Mhm.
can spot some Easter eggs in the stained glass, like, images from other Final Fantasies or, something like that. Maybe characters
Uh-huh.
or, critters or monsters or anything like that.
Yeah,
Be
or
cool.
like, summons or
Or
something.
summons, yeah, exactly. Well, if I squint, I can see that each one is exactly the same, and they only have it's just a pattern. Doesn't look like there's
Yeah.
something specific in there. What a shame. Well, maybe if we get close enough, some little small little hidden detail somewhere
Mhm.
would be cool.
Yeah, it looks like there's some writing or something on the, um, arch, like, on the bottom of the arch.
Ah,
You can see some kind of lettering or engraving on the it's like the arch, the foot of one of the arches where the light is shining on it. It looks like there's lettering or some kind of maybe it's just a design. Not sure.
I can't really see it. You mean those support pillars? The arches are on the
Yeah, on
support
the
pillars?
bottom of one of the support pillars, you can see the light shining on it.
Ah, that's just a pattern.
Oh,
I see.
okay.
It's not really lettering, just some
I'm wearing my
flower ins.
glasses, but
Ah, okay,
I just can't like I zoom in, but I just can't really make it out. But
okay.
yeah.
Now it's
Cool.
flower based or flower inspired pattern.
Okay.
Yeah. There's of course much more lying around, but I'll save this for the proper analysis when I get there
Right.
eventually. So much things to do.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to our next topic that we're talking about. So there was a developer interview that Square Enix released, as well as the screenshots, and it was really neat to see Square Enix kind of share these interviews with some of the key members of the developer team and hear their stories and history with the Final Fantasy series, sorry, and Final Fantasy VII specifically. And I just wanted to touch on some things that Kataze said that I especially loved. Was the comment that he made that he commented about the Final Fantasy VII remake pretty much preemptively. When he would be interviewed, people would just kind of, jump to that and ask him right away.
Yeah.
Even if it was for, he was being interviewed for a different game, they would just be like, "So, when are you making Final Fantasy VII
Mhm.
Remake?"
Mhm.
So he just kind of started preemptively talking about it and saying, talking about it right away so it would be done and over, and then he could kind of move on with the rest of the interview.
Mm. I can
um,
understand him. You probably get annoyed after the 1 or 2 dozen times, and then you just, "Oh, well,
exactly.
let's get this over with."
But then I'm sure he left and he thought about that and he's like, wow,
Mm,
people really want this game, everywhere people are asking about it. So
mm.
hopefully that really helped him to kind of,
Push
think
through,
about,
yeah. Greenlight
yeah,
it.
like actually make it.
'Cause as far as I remember, he wanted to make it for quite some time, especially Nomura too. I think,
Hmm.
um, was it here in this? No, it was somewhere else, I guess, where, he actually planned to, or had plans for a remake after as the last entry in the compilation, but it never came to be because of reasons and because he
Yeah.
was, busy with Kingdom Hearts and other things. But he had those plans, always in the back of his mind, and, when Kitase finally managed to greenlight this project, of course, he had to, well, he could use all those ideas he had been keeping inside of him, c or was being able to use them.
Hmm.
Now, it's kinda the gist of it.
So Kataze just kept saying basically when the time is right, when the time is
Mhm,
right. And then he came out and said, and now that time has arrived. Here's a direct quote. So while ensuring the spirit of the original game is kept intact, these members are adding to it the power of a new generation. And I love that
mm,
because we talked about this before in our first episode where we talked about, it's a reunion
mhm,
trifecta. Because the audience are coming back to the game after playing the original, and then also having the original developer team, added with some new employees and some new people that are new to the Final Fantasy series as well. But just we're coming together and basically to experience it, and they are coming together to create it for a new generation, just to kind of update it so
mm,
it continues on into the future. And I really loved that quote. um, he said that he hopes that it surpasses everybody's expectations. He said that basically it surpassed his own expectations.
mm.
Um, and he's basically the one who's looking forward to playing it the most. And I love that so much because, if he's confident that it's surpassed his own expectations, I feel that it's going to be amazing. And,
Most likely, yes. Mm,
like I'm good with that. That just kind of speaks to me because it kind of just makes all my concerns kind of melt away because I just feel like, he's the one that's making it. So
mhm.
I feel pretty good about it and I'm just so happy that we're actually going to be able to play it very, very soon.
Me too, yeah. Definitely.
And then like you said, going on to what Nomura said about, to me, what was super interesting, like you said, was that he actually meant to make this as a fifth entry to the
Exactly,
Final
yes, yeah.
Fantasy VII compilation. But he couldn't because he was extremely busy, but he said he never stopped thinking about it. Um, this is pretty incredible when you think about it, actually, that, the whole time that this was his intention. Um, and that probably also was a solidifying factor into, them actually deciding to go ahead and make the game
Mm,
because he already wanted to do it in the first place. It was always one of his plans, even though he didn't have the time to do it
mm,
because he was so busy doing other projects. And then obviously Kataze being asked to make it over and over again. I'm sure all of those
mhm.
factors kind of, combined into one where they're like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah, before we
Let's
are
just
too
make
old.
this game. Exactly. People are asking for it. I wanted to do it.
Mm,
I wanted to add so much more things into the original, but because we couldn't because we were limited at the time. Um, he decided that he was going to go ahead and help create the game.
mm,
Um, just a direct quote from the posting. So he said, "Opportunities for discussing our true intentions are few, but with regard to the size of the game, there are many people asking about that. There's no reason to worry. Even in this Midgard portion alone, the density and volume are so great that I had to give directions to lighten them. So basically, it's going to be huge.
mm,
And
yes,
the fact that they came out and they said that it's going to be on 2 discs is I think that it's gonna be big.
definitely,
Um,
extremely.
yeah, and I think that, people are really worrying about it, and I just like we talked about before, I don't think it's gonna be crazy open worlds the way that, a Witcher 3 game is or,
Probably not.
Red
No.
Dead Redemption 2 is. It's
Mm,
gonna be a guided story that's still open and explorable, and you're gonna have a lot of things to do in this world because it's gonna be alive.
mhm,
When we played the original game, yes, there were side characters, but it wasn't the same. Like, there were people running, like, after the reactor explodes at the beginning of the game.
mhm.
You can see there's like people that are all dressed the same
Yeah, exactly.
and they're little polygonal like characters. They're all dressed the same. You can only talk to like three of them, but they're all running in different directions. But like that's pretty much you see some people after that, but, like, that's pretty much it. Like, that was their way of showing that this world there's people that live there.
It was a very abstract depiction of practically everything in there. So
Yeah,
it, they had to play around with imagery in the background to get everything across in one screen with
exactly.
rudimentary animations, with
Mhm.
the limited text boxes, and it's yeah, I think it was quite the accomplishment to cram so much into the original one because there were so many shortcuts and it was really fast paced most of the time. If you cut out the exploration part of the world map
Yes,
stuff, but especially in Midgard was if you kind of know where you're going, you can just breeze through and maybe one, two, at most three battles, and you're through a complete area. So
exactly.
slow, so tiny. And if especially in the sewers, if you're lucky, there's no single encounter after apps.
Uh-huh.
It's so small, just two small screens.
Mhm.
And what we've already seen from the trailers in the sewers, it looks to be quite big and not just walk through two screens and you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And back then, like, they had to, make the screens because it was like a pre-rendered
Mhm.
background that was like it was like background art
Yes, exactly.
that
Yeah.
somebody made, and then they had to restrict the pathing so that you just
Mhm.
couldn't walk all over
Mhm.
the picture,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So, but they were limited to how many they could put, so they really had to pick and choose, which ones were the most necessary
Mhm.
to tell the story so that everybody could understand what was
Mhm.
happening, and also um yeah, just to make sure that you're heading down this path and there's only so many things that you can do in each area because you would have to leave this area and then go to a different place with a different
Mhm.
background. So it wasn't like how they're making it now where it's a live environment and you can actually go like what's around this corner, but it's this you go around the corner, but it's not like it's always the corner is always there.
Mhm.
And it's like what's going on around the corner that you can't see is still happening in real time,
Yeah. It all
basically. Like
connects.
there's actually people shopping on the street or
Mhm.
talking and that sort of thing. So,
As I've seen in screenshots from Seventh Heaven and the Sector 7 slums.
mhm,
There are always people around doing whatever, going about their business.
exactly.
And what's also interesting is I don't know if you've seen Maximilian Dude's streams or the compressed YouTube versions, but he could attend a presentation behind closed doors where they showed
Right,
the
yes.
complete bombing mission. Well, at least
Mhm.
until till the Scorpion Sentinel boss battle. Nothing afterwards, and it was all seamless. It loaded up, then
Wow.
the intro cinematic started playing, and it was all seamless. No loading times, no cut, nothing. Just straight through. No cut, no interruption, so to speak. It was, I
Right.
think it was exactly the same in the newest God of War entry.
Okay.
If you didn't fast travel, and even the fast travel is kind of seamless, but without the fast travel, there's just no cut, no interruption, nothing. Just go straight there. It's really well made. I
Right.
love it. I loved it. And here it seems
Yeah.
to be the same, so that they have to come to model all the environments, everything, and comparing it to the original, there were just disconnected and disjointed screens, which
Mhm.
sometimes had meters, or I would say yards of gaps where which you didn't see. Sometimes even much more, hundreds of yards between. I don't know, especially between let's say Sector 5, the main hub where you had the shops and this guy are sick. Um, to the northwest, no, northeast. There was the
Mhm.
exit to Aretha's house, and
Right.
it was a transition, and you were just standing right in front of Aretha's house, which completely different environment.
Yeah.
So there is, let's say, 300 to 400% more grounds to cover in the remake, if not more.
Yes.
So this is mostly what play length and also the two discs come from, because they want to
Yeah.
depict everything seamless, and everything has to
Mhm.
connect. Some things they can cheat with the train or motorcycle
Yes.
travel. I think
Yes.
those are our fast travel options,
Yeah.
and I think that's about it. Probably, I don't think there will be other transitions.
Yeah, it's like you said about God of War, like,
Mm.
that's a loading screen that's just disguised behind
Yes.
a live action, ability to kinda move around and then go through the door,
Hmm.
the portal when it opens up, and I think, like you said, they might be able to disguise the loading from going on the train,
Exactly. Yeah.
where you're gonna see parts of Midgard, like, when you're on the train and
Hmm.
stuff, but they're gonna be able to it's probably loading up the next area or something, but you don't even know what's happening, but
Especially because you're at the start, you can see Midgard and the slums, but then you go into the tunnels, and then they don't really have to load much. And before they exit the tunnels, they can load what's outside, and then it's there.
exactly.
Or for you, for the player,
Yeah.
it's nothing. It's just seamless.
Mhm. That's awesome. Then he Nomura went on to talk about new characters. So he said in past interviews that there wouldn't be any.
Hmm.
And then he kind of went back on what he said because he said that, he's created some new characters, but they aren't main characters. So the number of these characters ended up growing considerably. Obviously throughout the process of creating a rich depiction of Midgar. Um, I'm okay with this, and,
Me
like,
too.
his justification is that they needed to enrich the environment to make it more feel, more lived in, and that it's a living, breathing city, and, so I can understand that
And every
this they had to do this. They had to do this.
Mm. Especially if they didn't want to just copy and paste NPCs or something like that. You have
Exactly.
to have certain characters that stand out every once in a while, because otherwise
Mhm.
it's bland.
Yeah. And then he went on to say that obviously there will be new game bosses that will appear in the game. Um, but also, they did try to work in as many of the original bosses and enemies as possible as well. But they really wanted to add new bosses to help add excitement to the story even more. And, we've already kind of seen this as well, where they've updated some of the old bosses in a
Mhm.
new way. So it's not exactly the same as what it was in the original,
Hopefully.
um, which I'm okay with, it's a reimagining of the game. It's not a one-to-one remake,
Mhm.
so I'm just looking forward to being able to jump in and see what they've created. So,
We've also seen already one new boss in the tunnels. This is this I don't really know what to call it, a crab or something like that. A crab-like boss with which also had those gyro rings in the middle, like the airbuster, and which is
right.
probably like a precursor for the airbuster that comes later because it seems to be on the same mission.
It
And
could be.
yeah, and we've also seen new bosses. They're not new enemies, but they're bosses now, like the Alligor boss battle, which
Mhm.
had its own introduction, and you can summon Shiva there, so it has to be a special, like,
Yes.
special encounter, and probably Hell House too, I imagine, and many other enemies that were bigger and maybe a bit more rare, which they turned into full-on boss battles or mini
Yeah.
bosses, like the Sweeper.
Yeah. Something really interesting that he said was actually at the end of his interview. He said, "We've already begun working on the next one as well," which is
Mm,
awesome,
right. Yes, that's good
right?
news. Yeah.
There we go. So that's confirmation they are working on the next one. And they did say, like months and months ago, I think that they hadn't really started work on it, or they
Mm,
haven't really planned it out, like how
not
many
really.
games it's
Yeah.
going to be or
Yeah.
anything. But, they're not gonna tell us everything. I'm
Of
sure
course
that
not.
they already had an idea and a plan, and they
For
started
sure.
working on it, pre-production and everything like that, and yeah, so that was really awesome for me to read because I was just happy just to see that, they are started working on the next one.
Mhm.
The first one's not even out yet, so that hopefully will cut down on the wait time that we have between the
Should, yes.
parts. Um, and
And
then
what's
he said, "I'm confident this playing through this title will expand your expectations just like the world that extends beyond Midgar." So
yeah,
I'm
even
sure
more
it will. I just
expectations.
can't wait. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I hope so. But everybody's going to have their expectations, right? So it's not going to meet everybody's expectations. But I think that this is just him kind of thinking, like, he really hopes that everybody has a great time
Mm.
playing through it. And
And
it's
then looks forward to the next one.
exactly, exactly.
What I also forgot to mention before regarding that Nomura also told us that when we think about Midgar's final boss, we think about the motor ball. He said motor with
Hmm.
dots between. That's probably
Yeah.
the Japanese spelling. Um, but this games will have new bosses and will add to the excitement. And then it also starts speculation about which final boss will be there. Of course, most of us didn't think that Motorball will actually be the last boss of the first game because it would be pretty anticlimactic. But some have theorized that this no a new Soldier Boy will be in some capacity involved with last bosses. Maybe something related to Genova or even those ghostly thingies, those Guardians of Fate. And I think it's
Ah,
maybe a
right.
mixture of everything. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure Sephiroth will appear there, but I'm pretty sure we won't actually fight him. He'll probably just throw something at us, and new Genoa battle will appear, and maybe this Soldier Boy is somehow involved. We don't know. Maybe we get to kill him earlier, or he deserts and gets on our side, or something like that. It's just all up in the air, but it's fun to speculate.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So we're going to go and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be chatting about Final Fantasy VII Remake news and info. And also, we will be speculating when we might get some more information about the game. So, all that and more after this. All right, guys, and welcome back to the third episode of the reunion of Final Fantasy VII Remake podcast. I'm your host, Kyrosis, and I have my amazing co host, Viz, with me here again today. So, moving on to our second segment, we're talking about news about the game. So, there was a Famitsu article that was released that featured more information about the game. And I did post the screenshots of the article to the Final Fantasy VII Remake subreddit, and actually, a few people came forward and offered to translate the article. So this translation is pulled from the subreddit from user Shiraguma48. So thank you so much to Shiraguma48 for translating the article. So I went through the article and I basically pulled out information that I thought was maybe not common knowledge. Some of it obviously has already been released before, and a lot of us already know some of this. But so some of the translation we had basically, like we talked about before, you can spend SP to unlock the potential of your core materia that's hidden within your weapon. Sorry. It said that the screenshot for one of the weapons was Cloud's Buster Sword, and it said a lot of things are possible from increasing stats like attack power, magic power, max HP, to increasing the number of materia slots, which is what we already knew, which we talked about before, and how each weapon has its own unique abilities. And you basically level up your weapon, and once you continue to use a weapon, the proficiency maxes out, and then you can equip that ability with any weapon that you have. Moving on, so the next one was the materia system. There are all kinds of magic and commands by equipping materia that can become unlocked basically by equipping the materia into the slots in your weapons and armor. It said that the newly unveiled fire materia lets you use magic with obviously fire. It says that you can't upgrade your materia from fire to Fyra and Fyraga. And then it goes on to say something crazy interesting here. It says the independent assess materia lets you pinpoint enemies' characteristics, which we talked about, their weaknesses, etc. But what the keyword for me would be like independent
Mm,
materia. So is that
interesting.
a
Yeah.
type of materia? So the independent materia is a type of materia, or does it mean that it works independently from the rest? So what do you think? We kind of
Um,
already talked about this. So
Kind of. Yeah.
is it like the independent is purple or
I mean,
yellow?
in the original game, independent material was purple, and it was just
Right.
there and granted you the effect. For example, HP plus, more EXP, more speed, more luck,
Okay.
and some other things I just can't remember. Or the underwater material was also independent. It just
Oh,
you
okay.
equip it and it has an effect. Done.
Right. Okay.
But the assess material is a command. I'm assuming.
Huh. That's
So
interesting.
that's why.
Well, it says here the independent assess materia. So this is what was translated from Japanese to English.
Mhm,
So who knows? There could be a mistranslation,
probably, yeah. Or context
but
was missing.
could be.
Because I'm pretty sure they don't change the assess material to something passive, because how would you even open those things here, those UIs, those information, the information panels? Because with a command, it's clear you can just use the command and then it's assessed and you have the information from now on. If it's independent, then what constitutes as the trigger for getting the information out of the enemy? Just killing it or just
Hmm.
targeting it? This would kind of feel strange.
That's
Or,
interesting. I looked at the screenshot again. So in the bottom right hand corner, it says R1 toggle data.
mm,
So do you think you can, if it's an independent material, you just get the effect, and in the bottom you could just press, like if you aim at an enemy, like sorry, you're locking onto an enemy,
mm,
maybe that loads and then it just says toggle data and then you click it and then it pops up?
would feel weird because when does the whole UI pop up? Because when you're fighting, you don't want to have a UI pop up
Exactly.
randomly. So you have to
Exactly.
have some certain either command,
Yeah.
then you could which is the only way you can open this UI. I don't think this is the case. Well,
Okay.
only half. of the time because, well, let me let me try this again. You have a command materia, you have the command no, you have the assess materia, you have the command assess in the menu as an ability. You can use by expanding ATB on the target, and then this screen pops up, which
I see.
in the screenshot. Not exactly this here, but just the same screen. And then you
Okay.
cancel it, and as soon as you have this type of enemy assessed, you can probably press maybe L3 because I don't think there's any other button left to um, to pull up this screen at any time you want. It freezes the action and you get the information. This is probably what the screenshot's coming from. Barrett is shooting at the enemy, and then the player pressed the button, and the action stopped. And this
Mhm.
UI came up, so you have the opportunity to read everything in your own time or at your own pace, and then just cancel and be in the action again. That's my prediction how it's probably going to
Right.
work because this makes the most sense for me.
Mhm.
But still, this independent assess material, I don't know. This feels strange. I'm pretty sure it's just a translation context translation issues some kind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next. So obviously, they talk about the action style elements that are blended into the battle system. Obviously, pressing square button allows you to attack using your regular attacks. It says repeatedly pressing square will link a combo. Holding down square, though, will unleash an area based attack. So it's kind of like a charged up attack if you hold it down. Somebody had stated that this probably wasn't common knowledge. I don't think that they've showed us this. I didn't
No.
know that. I didn't know there was a charge up attack if you hold on it. I think that's really cool.
I also don't think it's charge up attack per se, but this makes something clear I didn't really understand before because in some footages we have seen a different attack cloud performed, like some double rotation sword swing, which is
Right.
actually a area of effect attack.
Okay.
But uh, I didn't know how you would execute this because if you press repeatedly, he does a specific combo, and this is
Right.
images that's always the same. And I've heard from those playing the demo that when you just hold, he just performs 3 swings and then he stops. But they probably deactivated that for the demo build,
Oh, okay.
probably. So this makes a lot of sense. So if you press repeatedly, you have the standard combo with 5 hits or 7 hits in the Punisher mode. And when you keep it
Oh,
pressed,
okay.
he um, Cloud swings his sword once, and if you keep it pressed, then he does this double rotation
Oh,
roundhouse
I see.
slice.
Yeah, that makes
Probably,
sense. Roundhouse. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like crowd control
probably. Yeah, that's what I'm
attack.
thinking. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I'm so glad they included this in this article.
Yeah, same.
This clears up a few things.
It says on top of that, pressing triangle allows you to use your character's unique ability, which we
Mhm.
knew. Blade Burst is a range attack that unleashes a magical beam from your sword. And I think we saw in the screenshot, right?
Mhm.
In the recently released screenshot, it
Right,
showed
right. Yeah, we
this.
forgot to cover this. Yeah.
It just shows on the bottom of the screenshot, you can see that there's like a beam that's coming out of the
The
sword.
triple beam. Yes.
Yeah, triple beam. Yeah, looks awesome. And
Um,
then sorry.
Well, I think this is those are 2 points mixed together because when you
Oh, okay.
Cloud has only the switch between Punisher and Operator mode with by pressing triangle, so he can't actually unleash another attack by using triangle. But I was- on top of that, pressing triangle allows you to use a character's unique ability point as a period. So this is one explanation for probably one other screenshot, which is uh, hang on, exactly the one where he's in the reactor number one, attacking a security officer, where his where the operator mode triangle prompt is highlighted in this screenshot. This is probably the caption for that, because this is highlighting Punisher mode. And the next one, Blade Burst, is probably the caption for the other screenshot, which is either an ability, normal ability from a weapon, or maybe even another limit break. Who knows?
Hmm.
This is hard to say because the
Yes.
limit bar is empty, but it's empty for all of them. And Cloud's ATB is almost 0, so it's probably an ATB attack, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I see it
Yeah,
now.
it's probably an
I'm
ATB
looking
attack.
and it says burst
Yeah,
in
or Blade Burst,
orange.
yeah. Where? Where does it say burst in orange?
I'm looking at the
Ah, I d
Famitsu,
right,
because this is a
mhm.
translation of the Famitsu article. So I was looking at the screenshots from the Square Enix website that were posted, but this is a screenshot that shows it's right next to the weapon upgrade screenshots, and it shows it's in red.
Ah, you mean the other
And
one. No,
do you see it?
Burst is the Japanese version of staggered. That's burst. When an enemy gets staggered, yeah, it's called burst. It's the orange text.
Oh, I see.
But the
Okay.
Cloud is using the focus thrust, as you can see in the blue text above. Well, it's in the Japanese. It's probably written in Japanese.
Yes.
I only
So
have,
it's something else.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
I keep
this is
forgetting that. I keep forgetting.
no worries. Yeah. No, the blade burst
Cool.
screenshot is the other one where he shoots 3 those 3 energy beams which race across
Right.
the bottom. And this is also a screenshot where we see this new boss here, which has some kind of wing-like jet engines on his back. It's a weird thing. Yeah, I need to cover this in a future analysis. This is
Mhm.
such a weird enemy. Yeah. Also, I might have jumped the gun here on this screenshot with the blade beam, or
Yeah.
how it's called in Japanese, the blade burst. If you zoom in, you see equipped a green materia and a purple materia clouds,
Oh,
Buster
okay.
Sword. But there's also maybe a yellow materia, but it probably turns out it's just another spark. Because I thought, well, it's
Hmm.
kind of it's too convenient. It's almost the same distance between the slots, and it
Yeah.
also kind of looks like it's the third slot from the upgrade system. And it's the Buster Sword here is also this weird shadow line or groove line across the blade, which
Yeah.
might appear when you've upgraded, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, a few other people have told me that it's most likely just a remnant of the particle effect here, and not a third materia. But yeah, well,
Just the enemy that you're talking about here that you said you're not sure. It kind of looks like the enemy really quickly. We kind of get a look in the trailer when
it's the same, yes.
they're all on the bridge and
Hang
then they're
on,
talking
bridge.
and about Wutai
Oh no, no,
and then
that's the airbuster. That's the boss. This battle here takes place in the subway. This is the same enemy we've seen also in the trailer, in the TGS 2019 trailer, where Barrett jumps and rolls out of the way, and then they attack.
oh, okay.
Then they attack in
Yeah, because
battle
it
mode.
looks like it's on rails, so it looks
Yeah,
like it
kind of,
moves
yes.
back and forth like a train,
Probably, yeah.
kind of. And
That's
you can
also what I thought,
see
yeah.
is that the Shinra logo that's in the back on the poster on the right? You can kind of see.
No, that
Oh,
seems to be a stopper for the train track. Looks to be
oh,
like a
okay.
stopper. It's the Shinra logo is different. It doesn't have a cross. But
It just looks like there's graffiti over top of like a poster that's in the back there somewhere.
there's
Yeah.
also
Hmm.
graffiti, yeah, green background and yellow,
Yeah.
orange, red
Hmm.
text with Zag written on top with a G, Z, A G or
Oh, okay.
C4G with black graffiti.
Okay.
And there's also the same label E as we've also seen in the trailer.
Right.
There it ducks out of the way. There in one frame you see the label E at the on the wall. And I think there's also a security camera on the wall here, just on the top left, top right.
Yeah.
Security camera. Interesting. So many things to spot.
I know.
Yeah. There's even more in the trailer itself. There's more to notice there.
All right, guys. So moving on here. So it looks like Sony announced that there will be a new state of play coming up tomorrow, actually, December 10th at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern time. People are thinking that we might get some more info about the game, a trailer, or maybe a Nanaki reveal. Um, I read that Resident Evil Remake 3, I guess, was leaked. So
It was,
people are
yes.
kind of yeah, people are thinking that it's going to be about that. Um, I'm not too sure that we're going to get something this early in December. So I guess it'll be interesting to see. And we only have 1 day to wait because it's tomorrow, not even a full day.
Mhm. Me personally, I don't think there will be another Final Fantasy VII remake related section in the state of play because we already got one in May on May 9th.
Exactly.
And that's why I probably think there will be something at the Game Awards if they choose to provide us with a little teaser. Because
Hmm.
if there's a big one, I'm probably sure they are showing something at Jump Fest because there's already a something announced, something trailer related, but we don't really know much more, I guess.
Right. And that was my next thing.
Yes.
I had said potentially the VGAs, like Video Game Awards. Not too sure. I'm not too sure. Square Enix announced Jump Festa 2020 lineup, and the schedule was posted to gamatsu.com. This is taken directly from the website. It says Final Fantasy VII Remake to appear in trailer form, not playable. Square Enix has announced its lineup and stage schedule for Jump Festa 2020, which runs from December 21 to 22 in Shiba, Japan. Cool. It says the lineup of Final Fantasy VII Remake will have a photo corner, and then it says like it has these words listed next to its name. So it says photo corner trailer novelty. Um, so people are kind of speculating that it's going to be a new trailer with a reveal of Nanaki. I'm not too sure. It might end up being just a rehash of some of the other trailers that we've already seen.
Would be pretty cheap, I guess.
Mhm. I'm hoping for something new, maybe a new trailer featuring
Mm.
some explanation, exploration, um, or a Nanaki reveal. Honestly, I'm okay if they don't reveal, Red 13 because I I wanna be surprised. So if I'm
Me
playing the
too, yeah.
game and then we see him later, maybe it's just better that they don't reveal him so that there's some surprises left for people when they play through the game. Because that would be I would be really surprised if, they didn't reveal him and then I'm playing through the game and then he shows up and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's so awesome," you know?
Mm.
Um, what do you think about that?
I'm on two minds on this. For one, I really want them to show them to us to actually show that is in there in full glory. Which
Yes.
I don't doubt it's in there because he has to be there. It's part of the lore of Midgar, part of the story. But to what extent is not clear yet. So if they show him, if they introduce him in some capacity, we would have an idea in what he is included. If it's just an NPC, if he's a non-controllable guest member or controllable guest member. But a full-on party member, I doubt because there's just not enough time for him to prosper, to get them upgraded
Yes.
and equipped,
Yep.
and no real time for character development.
Exactly.
But he has to be there. And I wanted to see it, but like you said, being surprised is also pretty cool. So not sure.
I think that, they could tease him,
Probably,
but
yeah.
not completely show him.
Or
Like
maybe
at
just the
the end of the
flaming tail.
trailer, they could just show his tail or
Exactly, yeah.
something like.
Yeah,
I know it
like,
sounds pretty
t
ridiculous,
Tifa look
but
Tifa walking up to the sample container, the sample tube, and it just looks inside, "Hey, what is this?" And then you see just this flaming tail wiggling around, then it cuts
exactly.
to black.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah, would be great.
All right. So moving on. So obviously the Square Enix store emailed a bunch of people about the first class edition, people that pre-ordered the game. There was kind of a fiasco there where on the Square Enix store website, so basically what happens is if you pre-order something on the Square Enix store, it explicitly states on their website that they will charge your card basically 2 to 3 weeks before the game is about to ship. And the problem was that they emailed people basically the end of November telling them that, they're gonna be charging their card early in December, but it didn't give a specific date. So people were really upset about that because, it's a lot of money for the first class edition. So people were just freaking out because the holidays are coming and
Mm,
people have spent money as well on Black Friday. And then, it didn't give a lot of people time to save up. And so there was kind of an outcry. So people did basically sent an email to Square Enix store support, and they did push back the dates. So
nice.
originally it was December 4th, but now it's January 22nd, I do believe.
Mhm,
And I did pre-order the first class edition, so I was really happy that they did push it back because this kind of happened to me. So
mhm.
this is what happens
Yes.
exactly. But I do understand, you know what I mean. Just from both parts where they are probably thinking about making more because there's a waiting list,
Mhm,
but why do they wanna spend money to make more when there's probably people who don't have the money to pay for one that do have them pre-ordered?
mhm.
So I'm sure this is kind of trying to put pressure on those people because if they can't pay for it, then they're not gonna spend money and make more first class
Exactly, yeah.
editions out of pocket and then risk not having them sold. So I can see it from their perspective as well. But this is the first time that I know of that this has happened, basically. And
Mhm.
I bought the Ultimate Collector's Edition for Final Fantasy 15, and like this didn't happen.
Yes.
Like it
Okay.
was just 2 to 3 weeks before, and it just showed up on my doorstep. So,
Nice.
hmm so there's a special collab event for the Final Fantasy VII remake that was announced. That's happening at Tokyo Skytree in February, which is in Tokyo. So it's a huge tower that you can take all the way up to the top,
Mhm.
and basically, it includes. So this is featuring the game. So what's including is it's including decorations inside the building for Final Fantasy VII remake. There's a special cafe menu.
Oh, nice.
There's Right? And there's an original, goods shop that they're opening just selling, items from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they are projecting the Midgar cityscape around the perimeter of the tower.
Oh,
So
that's really nice. Because I've been there in Japan, this April this year, and
Mhm.
we also climbed this, Sky Tree tower. Well,
Yes.
climbed, well, maybe we took the elevator up top.
Yes.
It was really nice to look at it from below and look out from above. Was kind of bummed out that I'll go to but I've been there. It's
I've
nice.
never been before. I always wanted to go to Tokyo. I will. I will
Yeah, you
at some
should one
point for
day. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I've only been
um,
able to go because, a friend of mine also quite some time, and we once, sat together and made plans quite spontaneously,
mhm, yeah,
or at least decided to go spontaneously and then, start to make was pretty nice. 3 weeks.
that's amazing. I have
Yes.
a friend that lives in Tokyo,
Oh, nice.
right?
Mhm.
So she keeps saying, "You need to come. You need to
Yeah.
come." Like, because then I could just stay with her for free, and
That's
then
cool. That's
and
nice,
she
yeah.
speaks Japanese. She's from
Mhm.
there, so she can, translate for me. And I just need to do it. I just need to go. Like for a month in the summer or something like that. I really want to go.
Mhm. Sure. A month is good. 3 weeks was almost a little bit too, short.
Short?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we didn't have more time because I only have 4 weeks of holiday to spread over
right.
the whole year, so taking
Yeah,
everything there would be too much.
I understand that
Yeah.
completely. All right, so it was PlayStation's 25th anniversary. So PlayStation turned 25 on December 3rd this year. So they showed some 25th anniversary artwork, and they did feature Cloud and Tifa in
Nice.
the Game Informer cover. And it's beautiful, and I love it
Mm.
because it's gray, like the original PlayStation, but then
Mm,
it
all
also has
right,
the
right.
colors
Yes.
as well, like the logo, like the letter P in the logo, because it had like blue, green, yellow,
Mhm.
and red, I do believe. It's really cool. So I just appreciate the fact that they actually went ahead and put Cloud and Tifa in the
Yes,
cover
that's
for
true. Yeah.
that. Um, because they are iconic,
Mm.
and they're huge characters for the game and for PlayStation in general. It really defined just the RPG, I guess, genre for the PlayStation. So it's just really cool to see that shout out for them.
Mm, definitely.
Also, something I didn't list on here, but I'm super excited about it. That's coming up as well for me is I'm going to the Distant Worlds Symphony Orchestra performance, which is happening March the 7th in
Oh,
Montreal.
nice.
Right? I know, and it's my birthday on March 7.
Oh,
So,
great.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I bought tickets for it, and, but the thing is that the game comes out on the 3rd.
Mm.
So, I would have only have played it, like, for a few days, and then I'm
Mhm.
like, I really had to think long and hard about it. I'm like, "Do I really wanna go see Distant Worlds,
You should.
on the 7th?" But, yeah, and they are actually focusing on the music of Final Fantasy VII
Mhm.
and the 7 Remake.
Nice.
So
Great.
I'm
Yeah.
just super excited, yeah, to go. I went a few years ago when they came through. I think it was 3 years ago, and it was like a few months before 15 came out. So they
Mm.
did play a bunch of songs from 15,
Oh,
and I
cool.
love the music from 15. But I'm obsessed with the music from 7. So I'm really excited about that. And you can check out their tour dates. They did list new tour dates for the United States and Canada on their website. So you guys can just Google it's a Distant Worlds Final Fantasy VII Symphony Orchestra.
Nice one.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this concludes the third episode of our podcast today. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us again for another episode. If you would like to go ahead and click that like button and subscribe, that would be amazing. And make sure that you guys leave a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. It's the best way to support us. Both of us are creators and we do put time into creating this content for you. And I know that Viz is super busy with his CCO content right now on your YouTube channel and your live streaming and your Twitch, and you are just everywhere. So please make sure you guys check his content out on YouTube. It's Cosmo Canyon Observatory. And if you guys want to reach us, our email is thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. That's thereunionpodcast@gmail.com. If you've got questions, ideas, suggestions for topics that you might want us to cover, you can just send us an email. We also have a Twitter account. It's at reunion_podcast. And we do have a Facebook account as well. It's The Reunion, an FF number 7R podcast, because when I created it, it would not allow me to put FFVIIR. It made me replace it with the number 7. So it's The Reunion and FF7R podcast. That's Facebook. And we're on YouTube, The Reunion Podcast. And we do post our episodes to YouTube with a video as well if you guys want to check us out there. And obviously, we'll be using our YouTube channel for any extra video content that we might be doing in the future. So just want to say thanks so much again, and hopefully we'll be back in another 2 weeks. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Stay safe and take care.
Bye.